Oh, God.
I'm kidding.
Jesus.
Welcome to Lady Jane's Purple Pill.
So I have to ask, what exactly is the purple pill? What do you?
He doesn't talk like that, even though his mustache looks like that. He doesn't really talk like that.
Now hold on a second, because see.
Oh, my bad. I guess you can create anything. My bad.
This is one of those things where we have to really set the mood, because I've never heard of the purple pill.
So okay. So the red pill is reality. The blue pill is an illusion.
Yep.
Right. So you have the matrix, which is where the terms come from. Right. Red pill, blue pill. Red pill is you wake up, you see what's really going on, and you live it. The blue pill is you stay in your imaginary world that has been created for you, essentially. Red pill, you have things that they talk about as if they're facts. But the thing is that statistics can be altered. Okay. Sure. And depending on the people group you go to, and I've read multiple studies. It's not just one study I ever take whenever I do something. I go and I look and I read multiple studies, and I might even do an average myself. If one study says 12%, one says 50%, one says 60, I'll add them and then divide them by 3. Right. Smart. And so then I kind of get an average between the studies because it's different people groups and stuff like that. And so I can kind of get a better idea of what's going on for me. But you always can take one study that shows your favor, whether it was done properly or not. I prefer studies that have peer reviews, whatever the case is. And a lot of the red pill, what they say, it's factual. The thing is that some people can happily live in their delusion.
Correct.
It's not likely. But for instance, an OnlyFans girl finding a 6-figure man, that is likely. I think that is likely. That is not the norm.
It's not.
And
mind you, given hypergamy,
right,
it is kind of a destined wish on the female side, of course.
Right.
Because if she's easily making that due to her alternative lifestyle, the guy she's going to be interested in is going to have to match, if not exceed it.
And the thing is that you don't understand. Like I know quite a few millionaires. Because of the circles that I'm in, the business kind of circles that I'm in and stuff like that. And some of them want, like that's what they would like. They're very socially awkward. They know that she wouldn't be. And so the thing is that I'm not, just because I'm around millionaires, I'm not saying everyone's like a millionaire necessarily would. So, so she might not find a millionaire. Right. That's going to be less likely. And over 57%. So studies we talked about, 57% of millionaires are married and they're considered to never have cheated. Correct. Okay. Is that true or not? I mean, maybe their wife never found out. Correct. I don't know. But 57%, and they've been married for over 20 years. Oh. So the thing is that typically when you build with someone, they wind up staying together.
Naturally.
Like it's going to, and the more money you make, the less likely you are to divorce.
100%.
Because financial is a big reason for, and again, this is studies, right? But you sit here, you talk about like red pill is very traditional. Is that even something that can exist today? So then you're talking blue pill, because modern meets traditional. One is modern, one is traditional. I'm not going to go 50-50 with you and then do all the housework.
Correct. No.
There are men that want that. I know somebody. I know a few somebodies who say, well, she should do all the gender roles. Well, we're both making money. But the thing is, I believe in gender roles. Maybe it's more so roles that I believe in, because the gender things might have to look a little different. Maybe you do the laundry and the dishes and I do the rest. I cook, I clean, whatever. Right. But, so it's just like.
So, I mean, and again, with this being modern times, the issue with the red pill space is that, as we're talking about how there's fact, it is based on fact. It is heavily diluted right now with people, and this is what happens with any space, unfortunately. And that's why I really like this name. Red pill is now diluted with people practicing as red pill content creators when they are simply out for the views and the
Right.
responses.
So they're like pick-me's.
100%.
Yes.
And the downside is that and the fact is they're pick-me's even as guys too.
Right.
'Cause you know, pick-me's typically the girls that are entering the space.
Yeah, but
I
guys
feel
can
like
be pick-me's too.
I guess
Everybody
it can.
can. Everybody
I'm not
can be.
used to that terminology.
Well,
being-
because you're saying pick me, and you're doing this
Yeah.
so you can get picked.
Well, I wouldn't even say
in that
like
sense.
I wouldn't even say pick me to that degree, because what I see is it's more of a, I don't want to say espionage. It's very dark, you know. Versus pick me is usually I'm willing to do this or forgo this. I'm special. Look at me.
Right.
But in this case,
you
they're
don't think
taking
this.
like, that'd be like me going to your church, joining your church. Mind you, I go in the club on the weekends, I'm smoking dope and doing all this on the side. But I go to your church and I'm saying, hey, look at me, I'm this amazing guy. Look at me tithing.
Right.
and
Instead of
everything
you
else.
being
It's just
real
fake.
and saying
Correct. And
saying,
like,
yeah,
this ain't
I
my
do
life.
this, but I know I want to live for God. I'm conflicted, but I'm going to keep feeding.
Correct.
I'm going to, because whatever master you serve more.
Right.
So then you're like, I want to put this more in my life as I try to transition.
Actually, I
Maybe
take that
that's
back.
what it is.
Let me let me change it up and make it financial. Me going to your church, being this, oh, I'm holier than thou, tithing $1,000 a month, only to then just write it off as a tax. Like, it's only just for a benefit of my own.
I mean, I
That's
definitely write it off as a tax.
but my
But
heart's
you're
not in
saying
it.
right.
Yeah.
And God loves
And-
a cheerful giver.
Correct. And so really, that's kind of what I see happening.
That's gonna be
in the
between
red
you and the
pills.
Lord.
Truth. Yeah.
Sorry, just gotta throw that out there. Okay.
Well, because your heart's judged, whether or not at the end of the day, I'll only tip my toe in this. It's all based on your heart. The
100%.
the life you live, and the judgment is all based on heart.
Right.
And I say that because no matter what you believe in, you cannot deny the vibrational frequency of love, and I mean agape love, of course. That in its practition as a lifestyle, you follow Christian values naturally. So I don't care what you believe in. If love is your focus on an agape level, naturally you're going to operate in the spirit of abundance all by itself. So anyways, so yeah, in this red pill space, I do see it being very much diluted with fake people that are pretending to be that. And so then what happens is you have false narratives being created, or you have extremisms being created, or you have people that are just really spiteful, and you have the red pill getting darkened by black pill, which are the incels, real incels, not people that were hurt and they're just pissed off, but people that truly do have evil intentions to harm people of the opposite sex.
Right.
So there's that. So for me, versus blue pill, I will say, not only is it bliss and idiocracy and not knowing truth, but there's also I don't have to show up.
Real quick, do you know that there are studies that are linked that show that depression is found in those that are more intellectual?
Oh yes.
Because it really is. Ignorance is bliss.
100%.
Okay, sorry. So you're saying the delusion.
And I'll add to that because of the fact that I find it, like when I was in the dating world, I find it very much so harder to have a conversation over text, because the way my brain works, I send a paragraph because I'm an analytical person.
We don't want to read that all.
Yeah. So, like it's very much like you can't turn your brain off. So I always find myself over explaining to help create context so that somebody understands where I'm coming from, because they don't think the way I think.
Right.
So, but no, blue pill, unfortunately, going back to what we were talking about, like when you have the blue pill from a man's perspective, the downside with that is now all of a sudden you have a man that's not really showing up as he should, because he has been softened. He has been, tranquilized with his prescription medication because he's ADHD. No, he doesn't have an outlet for his testosterone, which is what we need naturally. So God, that's a whole other subject. So, unfortunately, blue pill, that world that we are currently living in is only because of what the agenda has done to us as men.
Right. Yeah. No. And I agree. And then women also have created that. They've definitely helped, but men have helped create the women that exist in the blue pill space.
100%.
Just because you're an OnlyFans doesn't mean you can't build something.
Correct.
Right?
No, that's fair.
But to expect somebody who would, they always talk about purity. Okay. And body count. And the thing is that those same studies also show a lot of the same things. There's a certain point where a man will react the same way a woman will, and then once he gets even more, he then will act a different way.
Good.
The studies will show, they only read one side, or they'll be like, well, men can be with, however many women. In a way they can.
Yeah.
But also they react the same way as far as like, jumping from relationship to relationship or just person to person or whatever.
There's a lack of trust that happens.
Yeah. And so it's like.
For the man. I can't speak for the woman.
Right. And for the woman, no, there is too. And so it's like, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter, but there's a lot of things that go into context. Was this woman only sleeping with people she was in a relationship with? Do the relationships not last long? There's still a problem there.
Right.
But it's like, if I'm only with you in relationships, those women don't typically cheat, even though they might have a higher body count, right? One thing that I hear, oh, you're a born again virgin. That's not even a thing. But the thing is that when you know the Lord, and I'm saying this as in not saying, yes, you can't go back in and be a virgin.
Right.
Okay. I get that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely get and see that, right? You can't go back in and be a virgin.
Right.
But you can be healed.
Yes.
And with that, like, the Lord can heal, and we act like he can't, because it's clear that a lot of these people, not all of them, because some of them do in red space, they profess to be Christians, and yeah, some of them do. There's some of them that'll be like on the whatever podcast or Tristan Tate, that's his name, right? His brother.
Tristan, yep.
Yeah, he's a Christian while Andrew is Muslim.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there are people in this space who have they have a lot of Christian views and values and things like that. But the thing is that when you look at Paul, when he was Saul turned to Paul, okay, like in Acts chapter 9, when he met Jesus Christ on the road to Damascus, after Jesus had already been caught up and everything, he couldn't even have the same name, because his life was so changed after meeting Jesus Christ. And the thing is that a lot of these girls who do OnlyFans and stuff, they have daddy issues. Okay? And if you meet the father without the father that's perfect, you're telling me that can't heal your issues? You're telling me, and the thing is, maybe they have daddy issues because they were sexually assaulted. Maybe they have daddy issues because they were horrible things happen, right? And so it's like you're saying this, and then those women, men do tend to lean more on, well, that's why she's doing this. It's totally, it's now in some way acceptable. And it's like, and not saying it's acceptable, but then it's like, what if she gets help and she gets therapy and she actually heals from her trauma or whatever happened? And that's when it's like, okay, yeah, studies show. So I get erring on the side of caution, right? But there are definitely, but then also, does that make that blue pill turn to red? I don't know, because now she has this past, but she is a different person. Yeah. It's not a delusion. No,
if it's not a delusion. The only thing that we would say in the red pill space is that you cannot be upset for those who judge you by your past.
And I agree with that.
Because you did do those things. Now, the one thing that you're saying that I absolutely resonate with is simply, we cannot deny the undeniable process or possibility of somebody to change. You can't deny that. You can't deny a human's ability to change.
No, you can't.
And when spirituality is involved into it, absolutely not. You cannot deny that change, because then what you're doing is rewriting the fabric of your character.
Right.
And because when there's a spiritual, and I'm speaking for myself, when there's a spiritual intervention, you can't help but to do a 180 degree turn, because your value system is morphed. Right?
Yes.
And when your value system's morphed, you move differently.
Right.
By that alone.
And you do have, there's a saying that's, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. And
I've never heard that before.
And if you look at it, Paul is a saint. He murdered, raped Christians. Okay, tortured, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Then he served his life for Christ. You have the doubters. You have doubting Thomas. You have Peter, who denied the Lord 3 times, who denied Jesus Christ. And in the end, all these men died. They were martyrs. Their life, I think all but one, their life was taken for believing in Christ. So you can't tell me that just because you do something wrong, you still can't serve the Lord.
True.
Okay. And you still can't be a saint one day. And so, but I'm just saying, like, there are going to be people who are going to be cautious, because what if you didn't really change? What if you go back to your life? Especially like when you look at addiction.
Yeah.
Sex can be addiction.
Correct.
That is a form of addiction that we fail to really look at as addiction. And if that's an addiction, it's like, just like somebody on drugs. I personally think that certain people have addictive personalities.
That is a thing.
And your personality, and I think this because they talk about how alcoholism is genetic. Right? They say being
I know addictive personality can be genetic.
See, so my thing is that I don't think that it's being an alcoholic. This is what I think, based off of me raising plenty of kids that I did not give birth to, and just noticing what they pick up, and raising my children and noticing how they are, and how my 2 daughters are 2 different people because I had them 11 years apart. I was a different person. There's still things that they do that's alike because I'm still that person, but I'm a different person.
Fair.
Okay. I've grown so much that the way I deal with things, I've learned better, whatever. And I can be maybe in some ways a better parent to my child that I had 11 years later, but also she's a different kid. So what I'm saying is, kids do what you do, not what you say.
Correct.
And because of that, if you have a bad temper, your kid has a bad temper, you can't punish your child for having a bad temper without changing you.
Correct.
And so there are things that your kids will do because they see you do, and that addictive personality is what they're going to pick up on, not what you say don't do. They're going to pick up on how you're turning to this every single time something happens. And that's what people fail to realize. So in that way, I think that it is because your kids will pick up all your bad habits before they will your good ones. Not saying they can't, because my kids also pick up good habits from me. But Alicia, when she was 4, I remember this very distinctively. When my 19-year-old was 4, she responded in a way that I didn't like. And it was exactly how I respond. And when I saw that, I was like, just go to your room. I sent her away, and I realized, this is me, and I have to make this change. And I went in there and I said, look, I love you. You can't act like this. I know it's my fault why you're acting like this. And from there forward, my daughter, I'm about to get emotional real quick. She came in like 2 months ago, and she was like, Mom, I know that when you discipline me, you always discipline me out of love. It wasn't out of anger. It was because you want me to be like a good functioning member of society. You want me to make my own decisions. You want me to be my own person, but you don't want me to be a bad person. And she's like, you always discipline me out of love, and it wasn't out of anger. And when she was 4, I used to boom, 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 so when she was 4, I said, here's what we're going to do. I said, how many spankings do you think is good for you?
At 4?
I let a 4-year-old, she said 5. If she would have said 1, I'd be like, nah, bro. And I was thinking maybe her age, but she said 5. So since then, and I am a creative disciplinary. When she threw trash out of the bus, I had her walk around the neighborhood and pick up trash. So she got suspended off the bus, but I didn't spank her for it. I didn't give her a whooping. But if there were things that were like catch-alls or whatever, I would send her to her room so I could calm down. Then I would go in there and I'd say, this is what happened. This is why you can't do that. Now it's time for your whooping.
Nice.
And she would get it. And it was, hand to the butt. I was where I lived, it was, at that time, the law, you could whoop your child. You could whoop them with a wooden spoon or something like that, or your hand, but it had to be on the butt. In Kansas City, in Missouri, corporal punishment is legal. And you can spank your child also, just for the record. Like, now you're going to have to defend that in court if somebody says it's abuse, just for the record. But you won't have to defend a spanking. Okay. But you would have to, corporal punishment is legal. So you would have to defend that to make sure it's not child. I think corporal punishment might be a little, but how do I know this? I've been in court. Not for me though. It wasn't for me. It was for someone else. But I learned a lot.
So I'm staying quiet.
I learned a lot. Yeah. So just knowing that your kids are going to pick up addictive behaviors, whatever the case is, and they might not like the drugs or the alcohol.
Yeah.
She might like the.
And I will say this: there's plenty of adults now that I run into that because they grew up around the drugs and alcohol, they saw
won't
that they
touch
didn't
it.
want to be.
Yeah. One of my kids, I'm not going to put him out there like that, but his father had an addiction problem. And because of that, he doesn't want to drink. He doesn't want to, he's touched weed a time or two. It's not like something he really ever really did. And you're right. So it's like, it's funny because I think my brother didn't drink for the longest. He didn't drink because my father was an alcoholic. My sister did. She went through therapy and all this stuff, and she no longer drinks. She smokes weed like crazy though. So it's like I think she has that addictive personality. Not to put her out there. I have 3 sisters, so it could be any of them. But me, I remember she called me at 2 a.m. maybe on station in North Carolina. She said, I'm not an alcoholic. I can quit when I want. I quit drinking for like 2 months. Cold turkey. I was like, nope, I'm good. And then I was like, if I was an alcoholic, could I do that? No. And I don't drink socially. I don't drink for my emotions. There's things when I won't touch it. If I'm in a bad mood, I won't touch it. So, it's just one of those things. But anyways, off the alcohol, back to the pills. The purple pills.